The Sheikah are a humanoid race that greatly resemble Hylians both physically and magically, their key characteristic differences being their red eyes and white hair. They are known as the Shadow Folk, commonly referred to as the Shadow of the Hylians, as they are a mysterious and secretive tribe that excel in dark magic, being powerful magic wielders and serving as covert agents for the royal family of Hyrule. Their existence often kept a secret from the general public, as they were responsible for carrying out the darkest deeds of the kingdom, fulfilling any request presented to them by the royal family of Hyrule without question. The Sheikah were originally chosen by goddess Hylia herself to be her trusted guardians, tasked with the protection of her future mortal incarnation after Damacy's imprisonment and a human's ascent to the sky, and later became the servants and advisors to the royal family of Hyrule, the descendants of Hylia's reincarnation, with whom the blood of the goddess flowed through their veins. Many princesses throughout Hyrule's history have often been protected by Sheikah women who have shared the name of Impa, taking the role of Zelda's caretaker and personal advisor and bodyguard. Several examples include the servant of the goddess Hylia tasked with protecting the mortal incarnation of the goddess during the events of Skyward Sword, as well as being the one to escort Zelda out of the castle to keep her away from Ganondorf's hands in Ocarina of Time. The Sheikah were the original founders of Kakariko Village, a settlement that has appeared throughout many games of the series, though they were hardly seen living within it, the village often being inhabited by Hylians and other races, with the exception of Breath of the Wild, where the Sheikah had a more prominent role. The Sheikah passed down legends and important knowledge throughout the ages, often being the keepers of important secrets of Hyrule. Such legends include the prophecy of the Hero of Time and his quest to awaken the sages from each of the 5 temples of the kingdom, the legend of the Sacred Realm and the Triforce within, which explained how the Triforce would split into 3 pieces if one with an unbalanced hand were to claim it for his own, keeping the piece of the Triforce which will represent their stronger virtue, while the other 2 pieces will find 2 other individuals chosen by destiny, and the legend of the Messenger of the Heavens, which foretold the arrival of an individual to whom they will bestow the Skybook, which held the key to reaching the celestial sky city of the Uka. Impa's incarnation during Breath of the Wild would also inform the hero of a legend that will recall the events that took place more than 10,000 years prior, where an ancient hero wielding the sword that sealed the darkness, and an ancient princess with the blood of the goddess, sealed Calamity Ganon away with the use of the divine beasts and legions of guardian stalkers at their side. The Sheikah are known to be able to prolong their lives, being able to live for thousands of years, possibly due to being the servants of goddess Hylia herself. This prolonged life often ends upon fulfilling a divine task, where the Sheikah dissolve into particles of light. This is seen both in Skyward Sword with Impa after fulfilling Hylia's task of protecting her mortal incarnation, and in Breath of the Wild after the Sheikah monks bestow Link with a spirit orb upon completing their respective shrines. The Sheikah in Breath of the Wild share a writing script that came to be known as the Sheikah language, which can be found on many of the creations, such as the ancient shrines, Sheikah towers, and the Sheikah slate. They also share a symbol that is found all across Hyrule, such as on Gossip Stones and Sheikah Stones, the Lens of Truth, the Mask of Truth, Howling Stones, and the entrance to the Shadow Temple, among many others. This symbol came in the form of an eye with 3 triangular lashes, often associated with the 3 pieces of the Triforce, and a single teardrop at the bottom, which represented the tribe's willingness to go to any lengths, despite how ethical or moral it may be. Variations of this symbol have been seen throughout the series, though still keeping its core characteristics. The most interesting of these variations can be found in Skyward Sword. The first of these variations is seen in the sealed door upon first reaching the sealed grounds, which has larger swirls, a smaller teardrop, and a filled-in pupil. The young Impa, who comes from the distant past, thousands of years before the events of Skyward Sword, bears another iteration of the symbol on her forehead, with much smaller swirls, a much smaller teardrop, and 3 ovals in place of triangles. It is my belief that these symbols are actually the evolution of the Sheikah eye symbol throughout the early stages of both the land and the Sheikah, the one on Impa's forehead being the earliest known design, and the one found on the sealed door being the design prior to the modern Sheikah eye, with the Triforce pieces being added after, and the teardrop becoming longer, as if it were falling over time. A symbol reminiscent of the Sheikah eye symbol can also be seen engraved in the timeshift stones scattered across the Lanayru region, which may imply that the Sheikah were the creators of all the technology of Lanayru, including the ancient robots, which would be a parallel to how they once were a highly advanced civilization later in Hyrule's history, during the era of the Wild. Another obscure Sheikah eye symbol can be seen in several Twilight objects and structures, such as the fused shadow and the Twilight throne, which may link the Sheikah to the ancient interlopers, who have vanished from Hyrule to the Twilight realm after their attempt to claim the Triforce for their own. The Sheikah fought on many wars that took place in Hyrule, such as the Hyrulean Civil War, which often was the reason for their dwindling numbers. During Ocarina of Time, the Sheikah were practically absent, with the exception of Impa, Zelda's caretaker, who would come to awaken as one of the sages of Hyrule, taking on the role of the Sage of Shadows. While under the protection of Impa after Ganondorf's takeover, Princess Zelda took on the guise of Sheik, a member of the Sheikah tribe, in order to both hide from Ganondorf and aid the hero of time on his journey. The Sheikah made a more subtle return in Twilight Princess. Although not directly stated in-game to be a Sheikah, Impas, the old woman found in the Hidden Village, which was the original Kakariko village from Ocarina of Time, is implied to be a Sheikah, due to sharing the name of the founder of the village, Impa, as well as having the characteristic red Sheikah eyes. Another possible member of the Sheikah tribe during the era of Twilight is Madame Fanadi, the fortune teller of Hyrule Castletown, who also possessed red eyes, as well as the Sheikah eye symbol on her forehead. The Sheikah became a highly advanced civilization in the distant future, being the creators of the divine beasts, the guardians, the towers, and the shrines, as well as all the other technology in the kingdom. This technology was primarily used to combat Calamity Ganon and aid the chosen hero and the princess in sealing away the ancient demon. The ancient king at the time, fearing the Sheikah would turn on the kingdom and use this technology against them, outlawed the technology, and the Sheikah divided into two factions. First, there was a peaceful faction who took residence in the tranquil Kakariko village, taking on a modest way of life, which in itself was divided into two types of Sheikah. On the one hand, we had the typical Sheikah, who wore mainly beach attire with red and blue decorations, who kept to a simple way of life as farmers and painters. And on the other hand, we had warrior Sheikah, who mostly served the royal family in a martial capacity as guards and escorts, as well as assisting in the investigations of the ancient relics, and who wore mainly blue attire with white bandages and brown metal gauntlets, shoulder blades, and shin guards. Then there was a militant faction who fled to the Gerudo province and later became the Yiga clan, who swore their allegiance to Ganon and continued to work from the shadows, only this time working against the very kingdom they once protected. The Yiga wore red attire instead of the traditional blue garments of the Sheikah, setting themselves apart from the more peaceful counterparts, and covered their faces with white masks that had their clan symbol, the Sheikah eye symbol, but flipped upside down, a blasphemous mockery of their past. The Yiga also possessed black hair, despite the Sheikah usually having white hair, showing how the many thousands of years had set the two factions apart, leading to diversity within their own race. 1,000 years later, when signs of the return of Calamity Ganon were present, a prophecy foretold that the answer to defeating Calamity Ganon was buried beneath the ground. This led the royal family and the Sheikah to begin excavations across the kingdom, which led to the discovery of the divine beasts and the ancient guardians. Sheikah researchers such as Pura and Robbie studied the ancient relics and brought them back to working order to use them against Calamity Ganon, following the footsteps of their distant ancestors. 4 skilled warriors of each of the 4 races of the kingdom were chosen as champions to pilot the divine beasts, all led by Princess Zelda herself, to aid the hero in his battle against Calamity Ganon. However, Ganon outsmarted them all, and turned their own machines against them, corrupting the guardians and the divine beasts with his malice, killing the 4 champions, gravely wounding the hero, and completely destroying the kingdom of Hyrule. The hero was placed in the Shrine of Resurrection by the Sheikah, awakening 100 years later with no recollection of the past events, using the Sheikah slate to activate many towers and shrines on his quest to free the divine beast from Ganon's malice and defeat Calamity Ganon. And that was the Sheikah explained. If you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for videos like this one. Also, consider following me on Twitter and Instagram at Sololo86. This has been Sololo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.